20 years ago, the world was trying to come to terms with the atrocities in Rwanda, and the United Nations was trying to work out how it got things so wrong.
It was a failure that has defined the UN ever since, and for 20 years UN officials have been trying to make up for the failures in Rwanda.
The UN was heavily criticised in the wake of the massacre for not intervening. The Security Council failed to act decisively, and the UN report later found its own troops were not properly trained to prevent what happened. In January this year, the peacekeeping commander in Rwanda, ROMEO DALLAIRE, returned to the UN. In 1994, he warned the United Nations of the impending genocide, but was ignored.
This plan of extermination was a deliberate action that we saw coming, and we watched.
The 20th anniversary is being marked against the backdrop of conflicts in South Sudan and Central African Republic, where UN officials have warned of a, quote, risk of genocide. The UN Secretary-General says greater efforts are needed to prevent similar massacres.
The international community often proves reluctant to act, at times even when atrocity crimes are happening. But is that sufficient reason to look away? Is that not merely an echo of what we heard 20 years ago?
Over the last 2 decades, the UN has made changes, allowing for greater intervention, with peacekeepers able to use force to protect civilians. But with ethnically charged conflicts continuing around the world, some question how much has really changed.
It's very hard for the UN to claim that it has solved all the problems that it faced in Rwanda. We do see new crises emerging, and again the Security Council struggles to respond. Again, UN agencies struggle to respond to these new crises, and it does sometimes feel as if we have not learned enough.
Later this month, the United Nations Security Council is holding a session titled The Prevention and Fight Against Genocide. It's also likely to come to a decision on whether to send a full peacekeeping force to the Central African Republic. Actions that may prove stronger than words in preventing the situation there descending into genocide. Nick Harper, CCTV, New York.